Tonight, President Trump heads to Davos, Switzerland. There, he will continue his insistence that the U.S. take control of Greenland, threatening tariffs to allies and NATO nations if a deal is not made. Today, he was asked about that.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out. We have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland, and I think things are going to work out pretty well.
Where the president is getting that confidence is unknown. The markets reacted to the tariff threat, with all major indexes losing more than 1% in value. We begin tonight where the president is heading with White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe in Davos, senior White House correspondent and political correspondent, I should say, who spoke to some of the headliners. Ed, I said that you and our producer Gabby, who's with you, need to go find some fondue, but I know you guys have not had any time looking at your schedule and all the Trump administration officials you've been talking to. Tell us what you've learned.
Yeah, we'll do fondue on Friday, Weijia, but we began today by talking to a handful of people here quite concerned about what the president is up to. The morning here in Europe, at least, began as the president was going to bed, as he posted that screen grab of his text messages with the French President Emmanuel Macron asking, "I don't know what you're doing about Greenland." So we put that question to the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. Take a listen. Why does the United States need Greenland?
I would say it this way: the Western Hemisphere is fundamental to the health and national security of the United States of America. Our national security people are on it. But I would say to make America strong, we need to have a strong Western Hemisphere. And the world needs a strong America. Think about this. America set out to do tariffs on the world, and everyone said it would destroy the rest of the world. Europe's stock market, way up. UK stock market, way up. Japan, way up. Korea, way up. Why are they all up? Because when America shines, the world shines. Because everybody who invests in the world understands a strong America is vital for the world that we all live in.
Well, I want to get to that in a second, but to Greenland first, because whether you like it or not, you're going to get questions about this week from everyone here. 7 in 10 Americans back home don't want this. Don't want a dime of federal taxpayer dollars spent to buy it. Don't want to see troops positioned there. What do you say to those 7 in 10 Americans who don't agree with the president's push to take over Greenland?
Donald Trump has the best intuition of anybody that I've ever met, and he by far is the best person ever to sit in the Oval Office. He understands things. He does it by intuition. He does it by knowledge, and he does it by experience. So if the president of the United States thinks for national security, the Western Hemisphere is fundamental, I promise you, in maybe a year, maybe in 2 years, and maybe in 5 years, every historian will be writing about how fundamentally right he was.
So the Commerce Secretary, a longtime friend of the president, they're defending his push, his interest in Greenland, and making clear it's about national security. That's the same message the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, who also arrived here today, was sharing with his counterparts. And we pressed him on whether this push for Greenland has anything to do with trying to extract the rare earth minerals and the oil that may sit below the ice. Take a listen to what Secretary Wright said.
This is the president thinking long-term about national security. People were very concerned about what was going on in the Middle East early on as well. It led to peace. It led to a positive outcome. I think the same thing will happen here.
What, though, beyond national security, is the potential, let's say, American bounty out of Greenland? The opportunity to extract various rare earth minerals, oil. Have you assessed that yet?
Yeah, of course there's resources there, but it's a remote area. This is not about resource capture at all. This is about national security. And, of course, anything that can be done for economic development for the local Greenlanders, of course, that's a positive, too. But the issue is national security.
So when you say no plans for extraction at all, that is not part of what the president's up to here. Looking for oil, looking for, iron and uranium and all these other things that may be
No, of course there's mineral resources there, but development of mineral resources there would be about economic development for Greenland and Greenlanders. It would not be meaningful for the United States. This is all about national security.
Europeans have also agreed that there isn't a real easy opportunity to grab those natural resources out from under Greenland, which is so interesting that the secretary rolls that out and is also focused on this idea that it's all about national security.
Well, it's interesting, too, because President Trump himself has said that, it's also about rare earth minerals. So we'll let them hash that out. I know you also spoke to Senator Chris Coons and Governor Gavin Newsom, which to me begs the question, are you trying to beef up your foreign policy chops ahead of 2028? What did he have to say to you?
Well, Chris Coons, senator from Delaware, someone who comes to these kinds of global conferences all the time. He led a bipartisan delegation to Denmark over the weekend to reiterate American support for that country and its control of Greenland. He pointed out to us that there were tens of thousands in the streets over the weekend protesting the president's threat to take over the island. Listen to what he told us about his conversations with European leaders.
75% of Americans don't support an effort to try and take Greenland, either through threats of tariffs or direct military assault. They say this makes absolutely no sense. It's unthinkable. And I say important that you start thinking about it, because our president has been amping up the rhetoric and is tightening the screws. This risks blowing up NATO, dividing us from some of our critical allies, and ignoring the will of the American people.
So your warning to the rest of the world is take what he's saying seriously.
Maybe not literally, but seriously.
And more broadly than Greenland, there's this Gaza Board of Peace. There's the sort of back and forth on Ukraine. There's what he did in Venezuela. There's a host of issues facing all of these leaders over here that are left scratching their heads wondering, what are we to make of it? Especially because it changes, it seems, day to day.
I met with several senior European leaders over the last 2 days here. They really hoped that this would be focused on Ukraine, on finding a path towards supporting Ukraine to achieve a just peace with Russia, and on the end of the U.S.-EU trade spat over the last year. Instead, the topic is changing by day. Is it the strike on Venezuela, the threats against Iran, threats against Cuba and Colombia, adventurism with regards to Denmark and Greenland? Trump has taken Europe on a dizzying ride, and it's making all of them trust us less as a security partner and an economic partner, and we should pay attention to that.
Among the more than 60 world leaders, the dozens of top corporate executives who are here, there are also a handful of American officials. I saw, for example, the Republican governor of Oklahoma, Gretchen Whitmer, the Democratic governor of Michigan, and we spoke with Gavin Newsom, the California governor, who was here, sat in the front row listening to the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, talk about the administration's work and hopes for this coming year. And right afterward, we talked to him about this entire conference and what he thinks European leaders need to be doing to stand up to the president. Take a look. Do you think if they stepped it up, he'd back off?
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, where's a little dignity? I mean, I'm just sick of the CEOs with their knee pads, universities selling out, law firms selling out, media selling out to this guy. Our allies are selling out alliances over 80 years because they're not standing with more conviction and backbone. That's all I'm suggesting. And everyone trying to play all these games, and it's unbecoming. I think it's embarrassing. And I'm speaking not on behalf of the European Union. I'm speaking on behalf of the American people. I think this Greenland exercise is a joke. And so again, there's no other way to color it. And he's also painting himself in a corner, Trump. It's pretty damn obvious. He's not going to invade. And he now doesn't have many cards to play. And so this is an opportunity for the European Union to punch him in the face.
What is
what
the
needs us to move?
largest, 11th largest economy?
Fifth.
Fifth largest.
What is the next?
So what does a guy like you learn at a forum like this?
I don't know. I've learned it the
Preparing to
hard
run
way.
for
I mean, look, I represent the most un-Trump state in America, but it's the size of 21 state populations combined. It's been under assault. He federalized 4,000 National Guard. He sent 700 active duty Marines, not overseas, but to the second largest city in America. He's been attacking our institutions, been attacking our rule of law, and that's why we're involved in 52 lawsuits. So I know a thing or two about what I'm talking about, and I'm reflecting those experiences, our approach, to the approach of those that try to appease him. I hope there's a little more clarity and conviction, and I think it's represented in some of the conversations I'm hearing. But if they just said publicly what they all say privately, my God, this would be pretty simple, and I have no advice to offer.
As you heard the governor say, if California were its own country, it would be the 5th largest economy in the world. So it makes sense that he would attend the World Economic Forum. But as we mentioned, he's not the only Democratic governor here. Gretchen Whitmer, as I mentioned, also Kentucky's Andy Beshear will be here tomorrow, Weija. And yes, all of that should be interpreted as preparations for potential presidential runs in a few years. Weija?
Ed O'Keefe, thank you so much for all that reporting.